Football time on a Friday, and we are here. And what do I mean? We are here. We are here, meaning there's actual football being played tomorrow. Actual football being played on the TV tomorrow. An actual offense versus an actual defense for the first time since January. And we're going to break it all down for you. Spring games. Why they matter. What's going on at your school. Quarterback battles. Things to look for. We've got it all. If you've been MIA for the last 2 months, no problem. I'll catch you up to speed. House settlement. The big hearing was this week. What came of it? I break it down so you don't have to. Right? We have a star quarterback. And we get a headline at an inopportune time that's probably making a fan base pretty uneasy, or at least it should. We'll get that as well. And is being on John Gruden's show going to impact your draft stock going into the NFL? It might have just done that for one sleeper quarterback who just won a national championship. That's what we got for you today. And I'm so glad we have all of that because this show's going to fly. I have a good feeling. Welcome in. This is Stadium Pulse. I'm Jason Hamby. We got Tennessee Nick back there. This is the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, and we talk college ball every Friday, 9 to 10 a.m. And Nick, I mean, look, it's always good when I can just catch a headline, okay, during the week on Twitter and know, hey, that'll play on the show. So we get, let's start with him. Let's start with your boy, who's not really your boy, because apparently it's not that big of a deal if he just hightails it out of here. Here's the headline. Tennessee and Nico Iamaleava are in active contract negotiations ahead of the 2025 season. Pete Nakos reports. This is on 3. It's unclear if the negotiations will impact whether he enters the spring transfer portal. Okay. If you don't know, spring games tomorrow, then the spring transfer window opens next week. I believe it's the 16th. It opens the 16th, which is, next Thursday? Maybe next Wednesday? And it's open for about a week. So if you're like, what in the world is this timing right now? Why are we doing contract negotiations right now? That's why. Because if he was ever going to leave, it would be now. If you're wondering what in the world, where did this come from, just point blank, period, I'm with you to a certain extent, but just know this probably happened in December and January, right after the season. But because 1,000 different players hit the transfer portal, it got buried. Or it wasn't that big of a deal. And here's why. The school has nothing to do with this report. Who released this? Who told Pete Nakos all this, Nick?
No clue. I can't read the article.
I guarantee you that it was Nico's agent. Because Nico is negotiating for more money, correct?
Yeah, presumably.
Okay, yes. Yes. He's negotiating for more money, and it's his agent. How do we know that he's not negotiating? If you're wondering, is that Nico realizing, hey, I got paid a ton of money out of high school, and you know what? I wasn't all that good last year. Maybe I should do my program a favor, take a tad less money that is more indicative of my value so that we can spread it around more. First of all, you're out of your mind. Second of all, that would never come from his agent. Why would his agent ever say that? that they're in negotiations for his player to take more money. Never. He's negotiating for more. There's so many questions here. First of all, why you didn't even perform up to what your initial contract was? Wouldn't it be nice, if you're watching with us, wouldn't it be nice if you could underperform at your job that you're getting paid handsomely for, and at any time, right after for a full season, on your last project, on whatever the case may be, you underperformed, and at any point, you could say, I want more money or I'm gone, and the school can't really do that much about it because what have they got behind him? And Nick, I know what you're going to say, well, Josh Heupel can win with anybody. Yeah, I mean, no, not really. I mean, I believe in Josh Heupel as a head football coach. But, I mean, winning is not 8-4 anymore. It should have never been. And at Tennessee, it's never been that way.
No.
So I know I'm stomping on this whole thing, and I haven't even let you in yet. So my bad.
No, that's fine.
I guess first, give me your reaction to seeing your quarter. Like, isn't it? To me, I'd just be pissed. Like, dude, you're getting paid a bag. You didn't play up to that contract. And who are you to ask for more? Earn it. And then come back to me. But this, I mean, and it's not Nico. It's this whole idea. Like, that's why I'm like, at your job, how insane is that? You underperformed, and you know you did. It's not like he thinks he overperformed his deal. It's just that he has leverage, and he can. And this is the current state, so he's going to take advantage. I just don't I don't want to see my quarterback in a headline for something like this after he's already played a full season. And at this point, if he hightails it, I got 3 months of summer ball, really less of practices, before some guy I've never seen play in this uniform is trying out in week 1. But you weren't all that concerned, apparently.
Well, here's the thing. This is... On3 is cool. Pete Nakos is cool. I like what they've done. They're like the forefront of the NIL thing. But it seems like even the guy that is reporting now that like these contract negotiations are not necessarily true, that Nico and company are happy.
Nick... Okay,
I'm
go
just
ahead.
saying, someone that may be closer than than Pete Nakos.
But Pete Nakos is not making this. Like he's saying per sources close to this agent is. I'm telling you, it's the agent. Nico's agent is feeding this to Nakos, and here's the deal. And I understand because in that report. There was like, yes, they're in good situation. Nico is a fan of Tennessee. Nico wants to stay. They're in good graces with Coach Heupel. They're in good That's the agent not trying to overplay the hand and trying to play both sides a little bit and not trying to bury Tennessee and saying, we're not in good graces. It's a done deal. If we don't get the money, we're gone. That's what that is.
Fair, maybe. But look, if he's gone, fine.
No!
I don't care.
Nick! Yes, you
do! No, I don't.
Bro.
I don't. I love Nico. I was on the show the show on Saturday, the show of Brent Austin all last year. I defend the kid.
Mm-hmm.
He's a redshirt sophomore, redshirt freshman, whatever he was. He was going to have what he had of a season. Anybody in the fan base that thought he was going to overperform that, they were sipping what can be made on Rocky Top. You know, the corn that comes in a jar.
Right.
They sipped a little bit too much of it.
Sure they did.
Need to back off.
Yeah, but that's everybody, and you're just you're the sole teetotaler of all nation.
Regardless,
you're the sole teetotaler.
If I am, so be it.
Okay.
If truly this is a play on the part of the agent, like whoever it was Jimmy Sexton that does this all the time, that plays a coach is going to leave to get him a pay raise. Look, if he played that with Nico to get him a pay raise, so be it. I mean, colleges now, between the SEC and what they have in revenue share and everything else they're going to bring in for NIL, truthfully kind of have money to burn. It's like the spoils go, or the riches go to the spoil, whatever that saying is.
What is that saying? To
the victors go the spoils or something.
Not a baby. You got it.
At the end of the day, like, back up the Brinks truck, make it $4 million for the upcoming season, and whatever.
No.
If he returns to Rocky Top and improves, all I'm saying is, if you want to back the Brinks truck up and burn the money, you can. You don't have to. You can let the kid walk. You've got 2 guys in the quarterback room that Josh Heupel as a coach has signed. Every coach that signs a quarterback for one reason or another believes that quarterback can operate in their system and make that offense work. Nico may be a 5-star California kid that has a great mind and reads the field well and can do a lot of things. But how many times have we seen 5-star California kids not pan out?
Happens.
Maybe that's Nico. Maybe he's overselling his hand here. If he's gone, he's gone. Call up George McIntyre or this other kid, Jake Merklinger from Savannah.
Yeah, I think Merklinger would be the 2 as of now.
Yeah, this is the 2 that we've got, plus probably a transfer or something. I mean, look, in the first 2 years of Heupel, he took a team that was 5-7 the year before, was getting slapped with all sorts of violations and fines. And
the fighting Joe Miltons.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even. Well, it was the fighting Joe Milton's the first year because he waited too long to bring in Hendon. But once he brought in Hooker that second year, I mean, it doesn't take a $4 million superstar quarterback. It just takes somebody that can operate the offense that operates it smartly. Like Hendon Hooker operated that offense flawlessly.
Sure. Nick.
And now maybe at the same time, I'll argue this. A lot of fans have kind of argued Joey Housel, the OC, might be why it's kind of like dipped off in the last 2 seasons since Alex Golesh left for USF. That might be true. Not 100% sure, but there's definitely been a slight dip. If that's the OC, sure, whatever. The issue then becomes that Heupel won't fire him because Heupel, much as an OC that got fired at OU, won't turn on his own guys, which is, you can't really have your buddies in your back pocket all the time. You got to burn a couple friends every once in a while. And if it seems bad, and that may honestly, I feel like I heard a rumor at some point after the season that like Nico or Nico's family or somebody somewhere was like upset with something surrounding the OC and the quarterback coach deal.
Give me a break.
So maybe, well, that's the guy that is primarily responsible to Nico. So to some extent, I can understand that. But, and it sounds dumb, it's kind of like, it's what we have to toe in the age of NIL, in that you're kind of losing this where guys are going to commit and stay at your school. You're not going to get 4-year lettermen like Al Wilson and Peyton Manning and those guys at Tennessee or whoever, not Alvin Kamara, Todd Gurley at Georgia or whoever the running backs have been and the quarterbacks like Aaron Murray. And you're not going to get that anymore. You're going to get guys that are going to shop the market and see where they can go because they're not locked into contracts. They're locked into like just NIL deals where it's like, here's this for that, but you're not in a binding, you have to stay here for X amount.
We're going to get into the House settlement in just a second because one of the proposals is there's got to be a buyout on the team's behalf. If you're paying a player $2 million as a freshman,
yeah,
and they come in and after their first season, they take off, they should have to back pay you and buy out of their own contract. So you're not on the hook for that.
I think that's fair.
That's how it works for coaches, and they've always wanted to be like coach. That's a proposal.
Yeah.
By the way, let me point out, YB400 says, I appreciate him hopping in the chase, says, if I performed at my job, I might as well start looking on Indeed. Nico Iamaleava in 14 starts last year, 8 of those starts he threw for less than 200 yards passing. You're asking for a raise. Why? You had the SEC's leading rusher in Dylan Sampson. Your weapons were subpar but they could do the job. The offensive line was subpar, but they at times did the job. They did the job well enough with the leading SEC leading rusher for you to throw the football for more than 200 yards. And you didn't do that in more than half of your games, and you're sticking your hand out and asking for more money. That's my take. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous, and I hope Josh Heupel finds a way to say, look, you're not getting any more until incentive. You go earn that in the 2025 season, then we'll talk. That's what I think. That's what I hope it ends with.
That's the appropriate response from Heupel, if you want me to be honest with you. Because, yeah, he really didn't earn much. Sure, he had a bad season, but I attribute that to exactly what it was. Sure, you have freshmen that come into the SEC, like at Manziel and such, that come into the SEC and just light it a fire. And that's fine. That doesn't mean it's going to happen all the time, and it didn't mean it was going to happen with Nico.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of, again, whatever you were calling me earlier, the soul
teetotaler. You know what that means?
No clue. I guess
really?
I'm balancing it out. I'm keeping everything even keel. It sounds about
teetotaler is someone who does not drink at all. That was like it's a prohibition term.
Oh, I hadn't heard that before.
So that's Fair. American history, there, pal.
Take it.
It's a little American history for you.
Well, I don't.
I
got to brush up, man. But no, that's fair. Because redshirt freshman, the OC was different. You know, we'd regressed the year before. It's like, is this kid really going to shoot us to the moon? And really, to me, like I said before the season, 8-4. I looked at the schedule.
You did,
and I was like 8-4.
You
Hitting
did.
10-2 and making the playoff is exceeding expectations.
It did,
and that's a subpar year. That's from a good defense and a great rushing attack.
Mm-hmm.
If only Nico takes a step, if he clips 3,300 yards and 28 touchdowns, it's a totally different narrative.
That's true.
And that's what this season could be. Now, yeah, what you got last year, sure, you want a pay raise, fine, but you're not getting some ignorant amount of a raise.
Well, that's what he's probably asking.
You're going to get your normal 2.5% and be happy,
Nick,
and walk out there and start the game.
That ain't
it's not what's going to happen, I know, but that's how it should be.
That's $25,000 more. By the way, I'm giving history lessons and math equations,
but in the math
at the same time.
Here,
well, I did screw up one like a year ago, and the rap has been that, first of all, I wasn't a math guy, but I just did that right. You 2.5%. If he's making $1 million a year, that's $25K. Okay, I guarantee you the negotiations are a lot more than that. By the way, I don't even know if we're going to get to a fourth. That's 25% of our topics today. I'll say one more thing about Nico Iamaleava. You pointed out that the freshman that comes over from California, or it doesn't really matter the state, is he worth the money right now? The true freshman paying him the bag. Now, this is for a specific listener because I'm not going to get all into this guy, but Jared Curtis is the guy at the quarterback position coming in next year's class. Georgia and Oregon are the two schools that are in on him, and he's going to require a ginormous bag. So that's my thing to Georgia fans. If you don't get Jared Curtis because you didn't want to pony up $2 million for him out of high school, I wouldn't be that upset because it's a guy who's going to be a freshman who's not going to play right away anyway. More and more freshmen who are getting these bags, it feels like, are not panning out. And this is the effect. If you get $20.5 million in this revenue share going forward, 10% of your total dollars is going to go to a quarterback coming out of high school? No thanks. I'd rather go spend it on 80 other players than spread it out more and pay some guy $600K instead of $2 million. Every time. That brings me to the House settlement. All of these hearings have been in Oakland all week. This was supposed to be the big one, right? This is the thing that we've been looking forward to for months now, ever since some proposals got thrown out to try and cure or at least put a hamper on this wild, wild west that we've been living in college football, right? Kirby Smart was asked about it last week, and he's like, he was playing it up as this is the grand, whatever you want to call it. I forgot which word he used, but everybody's got their eye on it, and it's kind of slid under the radar. We've kind of been talking about it week in and week out, the potential proposals. It's kind of a snoozer, I feel like, for most people to listen to, because it's one of those where it's like, until it's happening, until it happens, we're kind of tuned out on it. I get that. It's college football offseason. We're talking about judicial things and legislation and all of these things. But this is the future of college football. We're talking about revenue sharing. We're talking about a limit on how many transfer portal guys you can get in a given season. We're talking about the NIL deals that you get actually have to be from companies. Everything that's over $600 has to be reported to this now third party company that's backed by Deloitte. All of these things. We're talking about $2.8 billion in back pay to athletes that didn't get NIL money over the last decades. And all of this comes to the forefront in a courtroom in Oakland, Nick, over the last 2 or 3 days. And in trots the judge. It's a 75-year-old woman named Judge Wilkin. Okay? Don't know anything about her before this week. But she is holding the future of college football in her hand. And I've just got one question. Does Judge Wilkin know ball? Because we're holding it in our hand, and we're merging ball and law. And I'm afraid that I don't want it in the hands of someone who's all law and no ball. You catching what I'm saying here? A 75-year-old woman who's trying to decide NIL value, transfer limits, all of these things. I don't know if that's what I mean, if she's kicking back on Saturday morning to College Game Day and she's learned from the school of Lee Corso, then I'm all in. I'm all in. But I need to know, I mean, what does she know the terminology? Is she up to date on the top 10 atmospheres in college football? Is she up to date on DJ Lagway's throwing shoulder? Is she up to date on, I mean, you fill in the blank. I just want to know if Judge Wilkin is a ball knower or not. Because it would be sick if she is. And that would be somebody I would want to watch a noon kick with come Saturday in the fall. By the way, we got our hopes up that we were going to get actual rulings. And it sounds like she cooked in all the right ways. But also that this is going to take more time because there were no final rulings. She did kind of pick apart each one. There's kind of 3 big lawsuits here, and I'm going to really skip through this because a lot of it is legalese. She wants to almost separate each one. She's a big fan of the settlement, but she's going to reword. She wants rewording of the $2.8 billion for past athletes. She wants rewording on the roster limits and the transfer limits. And there's a huge deal with the future athletes. So all of that to say, this is looking more and more likely, but it's just not a done deal. And again, I feel like this is a snoozer for some. Because again, until it happens, it's just like, I don't care. And then once everything's passed and finalized, then catch me up to date. And we will. But I just wanted to, there's your update as of right now. Okay. Let's move. We got spring games to talk about. Let's see, where are we going to start? Let's start with Florida. I mean, and I'm so glad that the orange and blue game is tomorrow. That's for you, Wax. I wanted to call it the blue and orange game, but I figured I'd be a little bit more respectful today. And I'm glad that it's tomorrow because as a dog, okay, as a fan of any football team that's not Florida, you probably enjoy, to some extent, me much probably more than others, when there's a little panic in that fan base, when there's a little concern in that fan base, when there's a little worry in that fan base, it's pretty enjoyable. So over the last week, I've had to sit through day after day after day of national championship talk. Tip your hat, they won the national championship in basketball. Okay? And we've covered it. We've done our due diligence as the good sports journalists that we've been trying to be. A lot of other people more than myself. I've just had to sit through it more so. But I'm glad, Nick, that we have the spring game tomorrow. Because when DJ Lagway is not on the field, and Florida Gator fans have to watch Harrison Bailey and Aiden Warner go out there and throw the football around, that's going to bring them right back down, and the panic's going to set in, and it's going to be as if they never won a championship in basketball Monday night. Am I right?
Be a fair assumption.
Okay. And that'll be good. Order will have been restored. Because as much as they want to tell you, and they won't, I'm not even going to get into the basketball school argument. They're not. And I would hope that their fan base is pushing that narrative as far aside as possible.
Either you or I can argue that they aren't a basketball school, as I think neither of our schools that we are fans of, all three of them, don't have a basketball championship, let alone at least a Final Four appearance for us. So I don't know that we can necessarily argue that one.
Well,
but this is a football show, not a basketball show.
That's true. And big Florida Gator fans have pointed out, and smartly, that they're panicking about baseball first. Because that ball club right now can't win a game in SEC play. They can beat FSU, but they can't win a game in SEC play. Nonetheless, the panic that's going to come is going to be enjoyable. Obviously, DJ Lagway has not thrown all spring. He's not playing. He's been going through the mental reps. He's been handing the football off. He looks big, and it looks absolutely massive standing next to Anthony Richardson. Those are all of the things that we've gotten over this offseason. There's still fans that are panicking that he might need surgery and that he could that he can miss time. There's other narratives that he needs the surgery, but he's going to be able to play through it, and it's going to hamper him at times throughout the season. And there's other narratives that it's just something that he's got to work and rehab and build up strength for, and that he'll be 100% by September. You pick. The school maintains that he doesn't need surgery. Lagway hadn't talked about it. So that's what we're going to go with for right now. But that means Harrison Bailey is going to take the starting reps, I would assume, followed by Aiden Warner. If you don't remember, Aiden Warner is the guy who came in for Lagway in the Georgia-Florida game and looked like the inexperienced quarterback that he was. Total deer in headlights, and Georgia took full advantage. They have one more guy that transferred in that I'm forgetting. And then they have Emory Jones, local kid from Mandarin, who's a true freshman. AKA Harrison Bailey and Aiden Warner are going to be taking the snaps. And I don't think it's going to be very pretty. And Clay Millen is his name. The other quarterback that they have. I just can't wait to see what Gators Twitter has to say when they're watching that. And will a lot of their attention be taken away from the fact that they have their basketball celebration during halftime? Yes, and that'll mitigate it. But still, when Aiden Warner's going out there, checking the football down every play, they haven't completed a deep shot in the entire spring game, even though in most spring games, and we're going to talk about this with Georgia as well, you're probably going to throw the football more than you run it. That's going to restore order, and it's going to bring me a smile or two. Okay? So that's the orange and blue game tomorrow. As for Georgia, the entire story with Georgia, well, there's many. But the biggest story is obviously at the quarterback position. Is it the Gunnar Stockton show, or is Ryan Puglisi going to be the guy that shows the flash and takes the job? This is a thing that happens every single season with Georgia. And I don't necessarily get it, but it's so much of a thing that Kirby has even addressed it. He's like the best quarterback on the team is always the backup. Because when Stetson Bennett was there, in the spring it was Carson Beck's better. Carson Beck's better, give Carson Beck the job. Didn't happen. Stetson won the job, won a national championship. Then Carson Beck gets the job because Stetson graduates. And then it's Brock Vandergrift's the guy. Brock Vandergrift's better. Give Brock Vandergrift the job. Doesn't happen. Carson Beck wins the job. And he has a lot of success. A lot more than I would think that Brock Vandergrift would have. And now it's Gunnar Stockton, and half of the fan base wants Ryan Puglisi, who we just don't know anything about him. Apparently, I mean, everything that we know is based off of word of mouth, is that he has an unbelievable arm, can truly make every throw in the book, on the field, that he's an unbelievable thrower. He knows the system, and that he would be an unbelievable player in week 1. That's what the word is. There's just zero tape on him in a collegiate uniform. Truly zero. And so this is happening again. And I guarantee that come Saturday afternoon, when Georgia fans are sitting in that stadium, it's not going to take but one or two nice throws from Puglisi. Maybe a dart here, maybe a dart there, maybe one deep ball here for that whole thing to be awoken to a whole new level. Okay, but for Georgia, outside of the quarterback position, because I guarantee you that, let me just put this out there for all teams, the quarterback battle is not won in the spring game. These teams have been battling. At least Georgia has, and I'm sure that this is true for other teams. I guess Georgia is kind of notorious for playing game speed like in practice more than others. That's what at least their players say, and all of their players that have gone to the NFL have said that. How much different is it? I don't know. Nick, you know what I'm getting at? That they truly go to war in practice?
Yeah.
So that's my point, is that the coaches are not learning a ton in the spring game. It's good for them to see. But these guys are doing that every day. They've had 14 spring practices or something like that. Friends, out of respect to you, I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name, but friends, watching from the Philippines, my guy, that's pretty sick. I don't know. It might be our first international viewer that we're aware of. Friends, do you have a college football team? I would love to talk about that team, whoever it is. My man. Watching from the Philippines. That a baby. Here we go. Back to Georgia. Okay, the battle's not won in the spring game. Don't overreact. Here's the things, a couple things you need to watch out for, or be on the lookout for, the things to watch for Georgia. Your whole entire new receiving core, bigger than ever before. You get Noah Thomas in, that's your transfer. He's going to be out there. He's 6'5". He's going to be your starter. You're going to pair him with Colby Young, who's back from all the off-the-field stuff. That's a 6'3.5" guy. You're automatically way bigger than you were last year and have been in a long time, a very long time, because your two biggest guys on the outside are going to be Noah Thomas and Colby Young, and you're going to pair that with the top receiver in the transfer portal, Zach Branch from USC. He's your slot. Okay? And there's a lot of other guys. Zakovi is going to be in there. Obviously, you still have London Humphreys. Obviously, at the tight end position, you still got Lawson Lucky and Delp. We have, I would be hard-pressed to say, now I haven't seen it yet, but from the rankings, from what these guys have done at past schools, the transfers that we've gotten in, the recruits, the Georgia's going to have the best receiving core, along with their tight ends, that they've had in a long time. Okay, you're going to see a tweet if you're a Georgia fan about Elias Wilson, the guy from, I believe he's Camden County, the 6'7" tight end. That's the slimmer version of Darnell Washington, who's a little faster. You're going to see a tweet about him, about his size. Can guarantee it. At the running back position, Nate Frazier's probably going to get a couple totes. That's going to be your star running back. You still got injuries for the both Robinsons, Branson and Roderick. So Chauncey Bowens and he's going to be featured. He's going to be featured. What does a guy like him have? What's that guy? Bo Walker. I think I've heard a lot. I've seen a lot of stuff from him over the offseason. Okay, and then other than that, I'm going to be looking out for it again. And I'm not going to be able to watch it. These things are not going to be televised. But I'm going to be looking for reports and looking for game notes on the safety position because Kirby Smart's talked a lot about that. You just lost Malachi Starks. He's going to be a first rounder. You just lost Dan Jackson. Hopefully he gets drafted because it would be a travesty if he doesn't. You got 6 guys, according to Kirby, that are in that safety room and nobody's separating. And we don't know a whole lot about any of them other than KJ Bolden, who was your true freshman who played last year alongside those guys and also played when Malachi slid to the star. So that's what you've got at Georgia. By the way, Nick, Tennessee deserves a little bit of credit.
Oh.
14 SEC spring games of the 16, no TV. 0. Tennessee's is. I don't know what channel, but it is being televised. There is a broadcast for the football game.
I don't even know myself.
Georgia, nothing. Florida, nothing. You ain't going to be able to see it. You're going to be able to see Twitter videos. That's about it. Shout out to Notre Dame as well. Man, I'm giving a lot of shout outs to teams that I wish I didn't have to, but they deserve it as well. They're the only top 10 school that's putting theirs out, and you can actually watch theirs on Peacock. If you're feeding that hard for football, you can watch Notre Dame spring game on Peacock tomorrow. Okay. YB400 continues to tell me to talk about the Knoll spring game. Which one? Ain't happening. You got the day off tomorrow. We got stadium renovations. So we're going to really capitalize and try to move forward with the 2-10 season and try to invigorate some hope and some excitement and some momentum into our program by canceling the spring game.
Pause. We need to make one correction.
Yes.
Also, bad look for FSU on that. You're wrong. There will be no live television coverage of the Orange and White game.
How recent is that?
This is as of March 6th, so like a little over a month ago. So unless it's changed since then.
It might have.
Like the official thing.
Because I'm pretty sure Shane Beamer was talking about it.
It's Shane Beamer. Who cares about that?
Well, I mean, he would know. And this was like in the last week. I guess, look, that's what I saw. That's what I'll say. I think it was y'all and Texas A&M are the only two that are putting y'all spring game out for fans. I don't know if that doesn't mean it's on a national broadcast. That doesn't mean it's on SEC Network. But in some capacity, it'll be watchable for fans. That's what I saw. So we'll see.
Okay,
we'll see.
Wait, we got an April 9th.
Uh-oh.
Entrance, parking, Fall Village Walk, broadcast. No live, yeah. There will be no live television broadcast or video stream Saturday. Vol Network will be on the air at 2 p.m. across radio affiliates, apps, and utsports.com. The new look 2025 Vol Network football broadcast team, Mike Keith, Ramon Foster, Jason Swain, and Brent Hubbs. We'll discuss spring football and we'll be joined by special guests throughout the afternoon. No live TV, radio only.
Okay.
Which I didn't know. I'm not mad.
Well, nobody's doing it.
Spring game. I've been to it before. It's fun and all, but
I mean, Hypo, I think at one point was considering just canceling the whole thing, and just making it like a private scrimmage.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that. I mean, it's whatever. It's fun to go to, but spring games are a little overblown. But like, if you're Florida State and you need some sort of a invigorating thing to inject life back into the fan base, you kind of need one. But I mean, I'm kind of partial to the spring games. I have to admit, I think it was a spring game in 2013 that really got me back into caring about it. I went with some family, and I was like, all right, I want to be a fan of this. This is fun.
Well, let's go down
the
to
decade ensuing wasn't fun.
My fault.
Till the end.
Let's go down to UCF because they got it interesting. They're in a interesting position right now because Dylan Risk, the quarterback, just announced he was transferring or planning to enter the portal. Again, the transfer of the spring window opens in a couple of days, so nobody's technically in it, but he announced his plans, and then the day after, I think that was Wednesday, and then Thursday he didn't show up to practice. So by all intents and purposes, he's in the portal. So UCF has 3 quarterbacks on the roster right now. That's obviously Tayven Jackson, the transfer from Indiana, who started at Tennessee.
I was about to say, make a note. It's the second foreign Tennessee quarterback we've talked about today.
Yep. Cam Fancher, the transfer from FAU, and you have Jacurri Brown, who was there last year, who saw a decent bit of time. So they're going to have to add to that room. First of all, you can't have 3 quarterbacks on the roster. So I expect them to go get somebody in this transfer window. I don't know what kind of caliber player they're even going to be. Maybe it's just a body to fill the position, or maybe they say, hey, we want to go get another guy that could potentially compete for the job. But the point I'm at right now is it Tayven Jackson's job to lose? And this is not based off of intel because they won't give you they're going to tell you that all 3 guys are showing flashes and none of the guys are separating from themselves. From each other. That's what Kirby Smart will tell you every single spring for almost every single position. That's what every good college football coach will do. Coach speak to the 9. Okay. So they'll say Tayven Jackson hasn't separated from anybody. Jacurri Brown hasn't separated. Cam Fancher hasn't separated. I want it to be Tayven Jackson, I'll say that. He seems like the most explosive, the best thrower of the football. Jacurri Brown is explosive, but he's the runner, right? And we saw at times last year, it was hard to watch him throw the football. It was hard to watch a lot of guys throw the football. And that started with, obviously, KJ Jefferson. But Tayven Jackson is the guy to watch, in my opinion, because he's the guy we know the least about, that we've seen the least amount from, other than Fancher. I just have to believe that Fancher is the 3. And that's just based off of who he was at FAU and the ranking and kind of that deal. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I would be shocked if he was actually in contention for the starting job. A lot of that has to do with this right here. Because I guarantee you Tayven Jackson's making a lot more money than Fancher is. So, Tayven Jackson actually spoke to the media. I did listen to that a couple days ago. College quarterback, please, who has minimal playing time, please don't compare yourself to Patrick Mahomes or Jordan Love, like ever. I think we're pretty much all set. I don't see any benefit to that. Maybe you do play like them, but maybe just not especially Mahomes, not the best guy to put yourself in the same kind of, hey, I play like this guy. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just being a hardo. Because I'm rooting for him. But I was just like, hey, we don't have to do that. We don't have to compare ourselves to Patrick Mahomes when we're asked what kind of play style we thrive in. But nonetheless, Tayven Jackson has got to be the guy to look out for as UCF continues their spring practice. By the way, gosh, it's going to seem like I'm hating on my alma mater. Scott Frost donates $500,000 to the UCF NIL collective. Okay, Nick, let me ask you. Let me just take Frost out of it because I love Frost. If the headline came out that Josh Heupel donated and his wife, I don't know his wife's name, because they always make it a family ordeal. Josh Heupel and his wife donated $500,000 to the NIL collective of the Tennessee Volunteers. Are you buying that at all?
Sure.
Really?
It's sad when a coach has to donate their own money.
No, that's the thing. He's not. We know better.
Well, pause.
Okay.
At a program at the level of UCF, even in the
Here we
Big
go.
12, look, NIL is haves and have-nots. They're not a have-not, but they're kind of in that mid-range. They got to be careful or they're going to be a have-not, and they're going to get left behind. Maybe it's realistic that he has to donate some money. Maybe it's, who knows, maybe it's a tax write-off. Is it, as a donation, is it a tax write-off? I mean, he might be playing taxes or something here. We might be playing checkers and he's playing chess. We don't know. So I can see there's a theoretical chance he did it. It's sad at that level that he has to donate X amount of his own contract to be able to fund scholarships or fund NIL stuff for players. But it's kind of the push come to shove of where you're stacked in the conferences and, brand loyalty and what the brand is worth. I mean, you've got really 10, 12, 14 blue bloods, and outside of that, like, you've got everybody that's like good schools, but they do have to fight and tooth and nail for what they're going to get. So maybe the coach does have to pitch in a little every once in a while. He shouldn't have to. Like, do I expect Josh Heupel and Don Heupel, his wife, to ever do that? No, not necessarily. Because I think that being in the SEC and not the Big 12, being a brand like Tennessee, regardless of where it may be in the current landscape of college football, it's not a Georgia, Alabama, maybe not even a Florida, possibly. I think they're going to bring enough money the coach will never have to do that. The guy's not donating 10% of his salary to the NIL collective. This is the school saying, hey, here's your $500,000 check. Yeah.
Just go ahead and put your name on it and give it right back to us. And then we're going to go ahead and put it out on social media and saying that you gave us $500,000. And so that you can be on the forefront of trying to get the fan base to donate themselves.
And sure, maybe that's a marketing ploy. Maybe it's a PR stunt.
That's what I'm saying. We don't got to do that, though. We don't.
But at a school like UCF, you might have to.
All right, at a school like UCF, I get it. I'm not
trying to knock them. I know that you're alma mater. I'm not trying to knock them.
Oh, you can knock them. Look, I'm not the biggest defender of them.
Like,
obviously,
it's layers to a cake, levels to the game.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's playing at a different thing, and really, Tennessee, Georgia, Bama, that's AAA. UCF's AA. They ain't single A.
Who's in the big leagues here?
Well, I'm saying it's just tiering the system in a way.
Yes.
Maybe at AA you do have to do some in-house, PR stunts and crowdsourcing, fund managing to pull a stunt to get the fan base to be like, oh wait, if he's going to do it, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
If my coach is buying in, I'll buy in too. If Heupel does it, maybe Tennessee fans buy in. Maybe if Kirby does it, they buy in. You don't know. It's a PR stunt. I mean, it's a NIL collective. It's a pool of money that donors, boosters, the common man. Like, I subscribed to Tennessee's thing for 3 months. It cost me $75, and I got some knick-knacky stuff out of it. And then I ended the subscription. Like, I don't know, a year and a half ago or a year ago.
You paid $75 to subscribe?
$25 a month.
Did that go to the NIL fund?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's going right into Nico's pocket.
Yeah, or somebody's pocket. I don't know whose pocket.
And he's still saying, "Hey, you know why he's not? Nico is in negotiations right now because you ended your subscription. Pick it back up so he can stay."
I tell you what, I'll pick it back up and I'll up the subscription to $500 a month if it means he stays.
I'm sure a lot of people would.
Yeah, no.
But the point I didn't make about that is again, if you missed that part of the conversation, that was at the very beginning of the show. But that's a slap into the face to the boosters right there, because you asked them to go pay Nico out of high school over $1 million. Has to be. I don't know what his deal is. I'm sure it's over $1 million. That's a slap in the face.
$8 million total.
Is that not a slap in the face to the boosters who are paying you that money, to saying, I underperformed and you didn't pay me enough? We can't get back into that because we got to wrap up.
Yeah.
Couple things we didn't get to. Miami, their spring. Carson Beck, obviously, still rehabbing. If you get a chance, go back and look at Mario Cristobal's answer when asked about Beck. It was like very weird to me. He was like, yeah, he's doing all of the, like, what he had to say about his rehab, like he's throwing all the weighted balls and all of these things, and it was just like saying a billion things without, it made it sound like he hasn't talked to Beck in a couple of weeks. That's probably me just reading into that, but that's what it seemed like. All he had to say is that he was, doing a great job rehabbing, and he's a big part of the team, and they can't wait to get him back on the field or anything like that. It's really not what he said. But and then, unless I'm getting some bad information, Miami's only got 2 other quarterbacks on the roster other than Beck. One's a true freshman. So, are they going to add to that room? How eager are they to get Beck back? Are Miami fans going to get a little concerned with what they watch this weekend? The guy that we didn't get to as well, Will Howard, going on the John Gruden show, his quarterback show, talking ball with him, throwing a decent bit of shade at Tennessee, which was fun, about how they pretty much, the whole deal when they came out in the playoff game with their shirts off, and Will Howard pretty much says, yeah, they had their shirts off, they came out, they ran to the other side of the end zone, and they immediately put their shirts back on. It was a PR stunt to the extent of Scott Frost donating $500,000 of his own money to UCF's NIL fund. But Will Howard threw a little shade. I enjoyed it. And he talked ball so much with John Gruden that some people are actually believing, oh, wow, this guy knows more than we think he does. Maybe he should be a first-round pick. If that doesn't tell you about how silly draft narratives are come this time of year with about 2 to 3 weeks left before the NFL draft, then I don't know what will. We're going to talk a lot about the NFL draft in a couple of minutes on the Brent and Austin show. Brent is back from Augusta. He will be sitting in this seat right here to bring you all the updates. I believe we'll have another edition of Shock Your Mocks. Don't hold me to that. But we're going to be talking draft regardless. Which position do the Jaguars need to take at 5? Again, Justin Rose is leading the Masters, so there's that for you. And then I'm sure if I pull their ear and Nick helps me, maybe we can get them to talk about spring games for just a few minutes. What the panic will be in Gainesville when Harrison Bailey and Aiden Warner take the field and are incompleting check down throws. Stuff like that. Just stuff like that. And Austin will be driven crazy. And that's going to be the goal. So we'll see what that has in store. The Brenton Austin show is coming up in about 5 minutes right here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Friends, FRENZ. Unfortunately, I don't know if we lost you. If you're still watching, I would still love to see why you're watching from the Philippines, first of all. And if you know ball, if you're a ball watcher, if you're a ball knower, who you like. That's going to do it for Stadium Pulse. Every single Friday, 9 to 10 a.m., nothing but college football talk, unless we're hating on the Gators basketball team or Tennessee's or anything like that. But we appreciate y'all watching. Hope you have a good weekend, and we see you in 5 minutes on the Brenton Austin Show.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models, or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway, or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness, and most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick GMC. We are professional grade.